So, do we have plans for dinner tonight?
Wow. It's been a long time. A very, very, very long time.
Oh my God.
Love hearing the drinking, gulping sounds. That's fun right out of the gate.
Oh my God, she's really doing it. She just really did that. Oh my God, you're not gonna be able to drive later.
Anyway, hello everyone.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Wasn't expecting that, but it's Sarah.
It's just
It's
necessary.
been a very, very, very long time. There have been a couple of different reasons for this. We had sort of teased that we needed to heal, that one of us had gone through something, there were two actually that went through some things. One, it was pretty catastrophic in her world. And so tonight we finally want to talk about it. If she can stop burping, that'd be nice too. So, anyway, welcome back to Duffy Women. Thanks for joining us. We're so happy to be back finally.
We're so happy you're here today. We're so happy.
We were going to talk about living in sin. We were going to talk
month
about,
ago.
moving. Yeah, this was even over a month ago. We were
Over.
going to talk about moving in with your boyfriend before, you got married or before you got engaged or whatever it is, before there was like a really, really serious commitment. Is it something that you should do? However, things sort of went off the rails for
Just a little bit.
one in particular.
But two.
And also
Yeah.
Alex. Well, hers was stopped.
Oh, she was
fortunately.
thank God
She
for
stopped
that.
prior to it going off the rails. She put on the brakes.
Lucky you.
Well,
So
I
what
did,
we're going
yes.
to do tonight is we're going to talk a little bit about what happened to each of my beautiful daughters. And then hopefully we can talk a little bit about what we learned and maybe what we've learned and what we don't do going forward. And I think that that's what life is about anyway. We all do things, we all make mistakes, we all do things that we regret, all of those things. However, if we learn from them and keep moving and keep growing and keep becoming better people and better at the person that we are, then that's what it's all about. So, Alex, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. You can talk a little bit about your story and then
Let's hear it.
we'll get into this one.
Sis.
Let's hear it. Okay, I'm going first. I'm a little nervous. Okay, so essentially what happened was I was planning to move in with my then boyfriend. We had made the decision very quickly, and looking back too quickly, and basically, I think you all remember I traveled to Israel. I went to Israel. I had some very powerful dreams that, to be quite frank, forecasted all of this that I just got out of, and that just happened. And essentially, I got back from Israel under the impression that we were very much in love, and we were working down the same path, and we were communicating very well, and we were on the same page. And we weren't. And I found out basically it was like a switch flipped. It was, I love you, I care about you, I want to get a matching tattoo with you, I can't wait for you to get home from Israel so we can move in and start our lives together, to I didn't realize you were taking this relationship so seriously. Which, okay.
No, just matching tattoos. Not that serious.
Nothing says love like a matching tattoo.
Yeah.
No.
It's true.
And I mean, that's the thing, like, and again, I was hearing that every day, all day, consistently throughout the day, in some form of it or another. I had no idea that he was having these feelings, and it was a shock. And we did get into, so the Thursday after Israel, we got into kind of a disagreement about money, which is a big conversation to have. And if you're not really serious about someone, or you're not sure if you're serious about someone truthfully, like that's your truth, of course that would kind of catalyze some realization and some processing. And essentially we got into the fight. I thought everything was fine. And then the next day, he came back and basically was like, I didn't realize that you you were thinking so long term. And I emotionally reacted. Of course I would. I mean, how could you expect me to maintain my cool when literally the day before you were telling me like tattoos? Um, and so within that weekend, he broke up with me on Sunday. And then we tried to kind of, and that's when and the fight on Friday, in the process of telling me that he didn't realize I was taking the relationship so seriously, I kind of said something like, "So do you mean you don't want to move in together?" And then his response was, "Well, yeah, I think our relationship could use the space." And I was like,
Could it?
Wow.
Could it?
yeah.
Like lots of
Okay.
So
space.
again, reacted emotionally, literally kicked him out, asked for my key back, like made him take all his things, like the Valentine's Day, the beautiful, beautiful Valentine's Day gift that he got me that I even talked about on the show, that we showed on the show. I remember being like, "Take this. What do you mean you don't, you didn't know
You
I
should
was
have
taking this
smashed it.
relationship seriously?"
You should have
Um,
smashed it on the floor.
and yeah, and we were supposed to move his cat in that Saturday. So like it literally was the day
The
before.
cat.
And ultimately, yeah, the cat.
Be
And
important.
yeah, and so we broke up and we didn't move in together, and we tried to make it work for like a month and a half, and it was not working. And I haven't talked to him in like 7 weeks, and I'm feeling great.
Yes.
All right.
Get
That's
it.
your story. We're going to talk about, again, I want to know what you learned from that. And I do.
Get it,
I really
queen.
do.
It's good.
Sarah,
I'm really excited.
Sarah,
Yes,
you
me.
have a parallel story.
Do I?
But like I said, it was you. She stopped. You kept going, and then derailed.
It was
So-
like you're on the roller coaster and you're like going up and it's like really exciting and you're like really excited and then you like get over the hump and then you just go down and it's like, oh shit, Anyway, so
Bleep.
no,
Okay.
okay,
all right, go ahead.
means poop.
It's fine.
Anyway, so yeah, we moved in together back in beginning of May, literally. And he had brought up moving in together, I think in January. January was, I remember the text distinctly, what we were talking about. I was talking about how I was annoyed by something in my apartment, and he goes, "Well, you guys could just move in with me." And I was like, "Haha, like that's just a joke." And then he was like, "No, seriously." And then from that point on, I was like, "No, it's January. We've been dating like a couple months. Like, I'm not going to move my
See?
daughter to your apartment
That's what I
this
should have
soon."
said.
So then I was like, "Well, my lease is up at the end of March." So I'm like, April 1st. And then I got a little bit of backlash. He was like, "No, maybe like August or September." And I'm like, "No, like my lease is up. I'm not going to pay for an entire year when you asked me to move in with you. And I said, let's wait. And then I pick the day that my lease is up. And you're like, let's back up a little bit." So I was like, this is going to happen because our entire relationship, he said, "I love you" on our second date. I didn't say "I love you" for another month because I was too concerned that this was too good to be true. I was very cautious. I was very aware of my feelings. And he said, "I love you." And from that point on, we're going to do this. We're going to, go see my parents in Germany in December. And we're going to go to, San Diego in 3 years. We're going to move together. And then when should we have our first kid? And when should we, I think in 3 years, like would be a good time because we'll be moved to San Diego and we could have the kid. And then maybe like 2 years after that, we could have our second kid.
So you had been
Basically,
in a serious.
We were in a serious relationship. We were going to get married. We were planning everything. Like he knew what ring I wanted, all of it. And then we it's just so funny now. Like I was broken for the last month, but now it's funny.
I was going to say, because
which is
this
why
is
we waited,
yeah,
because
we couldn't do it.
I couldn't laugh about it until literally repeating myself now talking about it. And I realized how crazy it was that he did this. So he was, up until the moment we moved in, he was a great boyfriend. He's a great person. And we moved in and it was like just a wall just came down. Like I could sense in his demeanor and his everything that, he just was not, he shut down. And it's like, I was trying to fight that because I was like, well, you wanted me to move in here. You wanted us to move in here. You allowed us to move in here. This was originally your idea. And you were talking about the future as if it was so concrete that I was having
Oh,
no worries. I was having no concerns at all. And I
none.
fell for it. I fell for it. I did because I wanted it and I cared about him just as much. And that's
Yes.
part of my own issue. But
Right.
irregardless, it's not a word.
Irregardless.
Irregardless, 3 weeks after moving in, he came home and was like, we had a little fight, and he came home and was like, I don't love you. He was like, I don't think this relationship can be salvaged. You don't cook as often as I'd like you to. You don't go to the gym. You don't
He knew all of this well in advance.
which he knew literally date one.
That's
I
not
don't like to
Yes,
cook. I don't like
he
to
did that for you. That's why
That's
he
who
did
I
it.
am. That's who I am. I'm sorry. I like Chick-fil-A. Sue me. Anyway, so I don't cook. I don't like to go to the gym. I didn't follow through with planning our trip to Iceland in September, which, to be fair, we both agreed at one point that it would be too much financially because we had just moved in together and we were trying to save money to go to Germany to visit his parents in December. So basically he just literally looked me in the eye and was so cold, was so straight faced, was like, I don't love you. I don't want to work this out. I kept asking why. And I kept fighting it like, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? Like literally a week ago, you wrote me a note about how I was your person, how I was, your best friend, and how you never wanted to make me feel scared. And all of the words, and it just literally imploded. So then he left the next morning, probably at like 6, because he was gone. I never saw him again, never spoke to him again, never heard a word from him, never an I'm sorry, never I'm sorry the
Moved
way
your
that I
stuff
handled
out
things.
without his
Yeah, didn't
help.
help me, didn't even offer to help me move my stuff out. Didn't
Avoided
I
the
couldn't
house.
move it all out myself. I had to take my daughter to daycare. I had to call off work. I had to basically pack all my things, and I couldn't get everything, so I had to come back another day and get everything then, and he wasn't there. And like I said, he never spoke a word to me. He never, and you know what? It's like I I realized a long time ago, maybe about a week or two after it happened, that this had nothing to do with me. I
Yes.
was the woman of his
Yeah.
dreams right before we moved in together. And then when we moved in together, he realized that he was too selfish and too immature and too unable to basically be a man and tell me the real reason, which was because he wasn't ready. And then he chose to blame it on me, which is
Oh,
cowardly and disgusting. And
Well,
so
that's
thankfully, I've come to a place where I'm literally okay. And
yeah.
it's been a month and a half almost, and I genuinely, I'm okay. Like I know it wasn't about me. I am a wonderful person. I'm hilarious. I can order Chick-fil-A so well. I can cook from a box like a champ. And my daughter, she is worthy of a
Mhm.
man who doesn't act like that. And so frankly,
Mhm.
I thank you. I thank you for breaking up with me so that I can find a man who is a man who is honest with themselves and their feelings. And I appreciate that. So
Oh,
bye.
Amen.
Bye
Amen.
bye. Enjoy your life. I feel sorry for your future wife.
I
oh,
think
stop it.
from
So,
I think real quick from a mother's point of view, from a parent's point of view, watching all of this unfold, because literally you moved back in here and you were in the fetal position. I
Oh, oh
mean,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
had been back to a place where you'd been
I
before
couldn't get out of bed.
and you couldn't even function.
Like that's how it was when I mentioned in the blog that I wrote. My daughter's father literally did the exact same thing to me when Evelyn was 2 months old, and I remember being at my mother's house in the fetal position, not
Yeah.
able to get off the floor. And I thankfully, I mean, it sounds weird, but I was able to kind of pull from that and recover quicker because it was just it was
Mhm.
something I had been through. And looking back on my daughter's father now, I'll always care about him because he's the father of my child. But if he asked me to get back together today, I would literally say, absolutely the hell not. So you get to a place where you're like, okay, you know what? This wasn't meant to be. And there's a reason for everything.
Mhm. And that's what I was just going to say.
Oh, yes.
My my
I talk a lot.
as a parent, and that's okay. That's what this is all about. But as a parent, I get it. Like, I get he may have had cold feet. He may have realized once you moved
Right.
in that 2 cats, a child,
It's a
and
lot.
you are
It's
a lot.
It's
That's
a lot.
in a
I'm
small
I
apartment.
I get it.
First
I
of
get
all,
it.
I get
don't
that.
we have
get
to
it.
stop saying that we're a lot. No, because
No,
No,
it
it's
is true.
it's overwhelming.
It's okay. It's all right.
It's
there's
overwhelming.
meaning
no,
it's a lot
I'm
for
saying it's a
anybody.
personal narrative that I don't think we need to be telling
Well,
ourselves.
that's
I'm
fine.
a lot.
It doesn't justify their
No.
actions. It doesn't
Again,
justify what they
my
did.
my point is,
For the right man, it's
not
not a
saying
lot.
as he's watching
Agreed.
her, and again, if you let me get to that, as he's watching her pack everything, pack all her daughter's stuff, move
Yes.
everything in, and he's having probably second thoughts at that point.
Don't let me move.
Don't let you
screw
go
you,
through
dude.
all of that stuff. And the other thing that I wanted to say very quickly before we wrap it up, before we say what we learned, because I think that's important. But the other thing is, I'm a lot too. And let me finish. I know it. I'm quirky, I'm goofy, I'm weird, I'm a clean freak. But I found a man who loves me unconditionally, who gets my quirks. He doesn't let me off the hook every time,
Right.
but he's the right man for me, who gets me, who understands me, who's like, you know what? She's perfect for me. And so that's the kind of man you want, someone who's going to love you for you,
Right.
not for who he wants you to be.
Which
because
is what
that's
I thought.
never,
I think that's what it was.
and that's the thing. When you have expectations, whether it's you, whether it's him, when you have expectations, and if that's what starts off the relationship, it's going to be an issue. Trust me. I've been there, done that. It's an issue. Okay.
It's also the
So,
fact
just
that
wanted to say that.
you
Wait,
need
you guys, I need to say this because I'm not going to be able to text it because our producer would kill me. My battery is at 20%, so we do have to wrap this up. I have to talk about what I learned. Sarah has to talk about what she learned.
Plug it in.
If I cut out, you guys end the show without me, but I do probably only have like 16% battery. I'm sorry to the producer. I swear to God, I charged my anyways.
Okay,
it
so
didn't
stop
work.
wasting
So
time.
go.
Go.
Okay, so number one, there is absolutely no shame in getting help. I have decided, because this was a recurring pattern in my life. I had 2 boyfriends right in a row. Same thing. 3 months, loved me. One day, flipped a switch. It was never the same. I was heartbroken. I was crushed. I didn't understand. And if I didn't recognize that pattern in my life, I would have never been able to, I would have been in denial, and I probably wouldn't be in therapy, and I probably wouldn't be learning the things about relationships that I need to be learning. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful and proud of myself for not acknowledging that pattern, admitting that pattern, and then choosing to get help, because it's amazing. My therapist is great. I see him every 2 weeks. Can't wait to see him again. Number 2, I know. Thank you. Number 2, boundaries. I think from that first boyfriend that did the same thing, I learned that I needed to have boundaries, but I also learned from this recent relationship that I need to have the tools and the confidence to instill said boundaries, because boundaries are about self-love, and you can't love another person if you don't love yourself. And it was really hard for me to admit to myself that I let my boundaries down, and I let him walk all over my boundaries, because there were boundaries that he crossed within the first hour of meeting him, because I let him, because I didn't know how to like uphold those. Because we found out in therapy, which is my third biggest lesson and learning from this, was that I love attention. And in all of the relationships that I am going to have, just like Mom and Pa, I love it when people adore me and fawn over me. And I love being the center of attention. I don't think that's a secret. I don't think any 3 of us would admit that that's not something that's about our personalities. But because I love attention, and I think I've worked very hard in my life to make sure that comes out very genuine, and I've tried to be self-aware about that, because it definitely was an issue for me earlier on in my life. So anyways, I'm owning the fact that I like attention, but it's also a vulnerability, because when some guy who's cute and dresses really nice comes into my purview and tells me on the first date that he wants to be exclusive with me and we're going to have kids when I'm 33, I am like, oh my God, you're right. Like, I did that for you.
Yeah.
And that's not right. And I need to be aware of those vulnerabilities, so that then when these kinds of guys come into my life again, I'm hoping I don't have another one that's very similar. I'm able to smell it from like a million miles away. And I should have left that first date, midway through, but I didn't. Okay, so that's it. Love you guys. If we
That's
cut out, my
okay.
bad.
That's okay. That's okay. And again, you learn from it. So live that though. That's the difference. Live it.
I know.
Live it.
I know.
You. Did you?
That's why I'm
did
in
you?
therapy.
I know. And I think
So
that's great. And I appreciate you saying that because a lot of people, I mean, it's way more, I mean, do it way more and seek help and recognize they need help more than they've ever done. But if there's ever like a stigma or something in the back of your mind where you're afraid to do it, that's ridiculous. But anyway,
Totes.
so go ahead, Sarah.
Is
And
it
then we
about
got to
me?
wrap it up.
Okay. I don't really know what I learned because I feel like I was the person I wanted to be before I met him, and all it's really going to take is a little bit more time to kind of get back to that because I mean I am. I mean I'm at the place where I'm strong, I'm confident, I know what I want. I know what I don't want, and if that one thing that he did teach me, um it was what love wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
and to
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to what they do. And he did all the right things, and that's what's hard, is that like he
Yeah.
Yeah,
did say and
that's
do
what
all the
was
right
hard.
things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for me it was difficult, but I think the main thing is that you need to find an emotionally mature man, and he was just
Mhm.
he's still stuck in that I'm selfish, I don't want it to be about anyone else but me
And that's
right
fine.
now. And
Yeah.
that's
But
And
don't
that's
it's
fine. You're
fine.
right.
don't
You're
reel
right.
And
somebody
But
more
in
he's
if
power
you're
not
to
for
you.
you.
More
He's not
power
for
to
you.
you, but I'm not in the place where I need that. I need a man who is going to
right.
commit to me and is going to be committed and actually mean what he says. And
Agree.
so if that's not you, then see ya, sayonara. I won't miss you. But um I've already been on a date, and
Oh, geez. That's another show.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
serious.
that was a joke.
Oh, okay.
It's not
I knew
'cause
you
you
guys
you
would freak
have
out.
it
I
on
knew you
credit.
guys would freak out, and it did not disappoint.
Okay.
So congratulations
Wrap
to
it up,
me.
Shelley.
All right. So
Do your thing.
everybody is back to healing and learning and growing and moving forward. We had to take that month or so to get to that point. So thank you for sitting
Thank
through
you.
this and listening and sharing and being a part of our lives. We thank you so much. Any questions, any comments, anything
DM
at
me.
all, make sure you send it to duffywomen@gmail.com.
YouTubers we're on the YouTube. Subscribe, because then that will just make us money, and we want money, right?
Can you stop saying
That's
that
not
every time
why.
you say YouTube? Because it's
Okay,
not
I
right.
want money. Okay, I'm
And
sorry.
like, I
I
don't like
want
the
money.
energy that you're putting out when you say that. So stop.
Oh, let's end the show, please. When
All
she
right. What
starts
about
talking about
Instagram,
energy.
Alex? Alex?
Follow us on Instagram at Duffy Women. Follow us on Twitter. We don't even tweet, at Duffy Women. And make sure you like us on Facebook, which you're watching us here. So if you don't already like the page, please go and give us a like. We would love for you to be a part of our Duffy Women
I was
like
that
community
close to being
and
done.
like yeah.
All right. Thank you very
Okay,
much,
Thank you.
Alex,
Let me
for
finish it.
doing that. And thank you for drinking the rest
You
of
didn't
my
drink
wine.
any of it.
I was trying, but you drank most of it. Anyway, we will be back in 2 weeks. We probably are going to have a conversation about some things when it comes to communication and
Yeah.
the difference between men and women. Would like to talk about that. We have a really fun show coming up at the end of July,
Yeah.
and you guys can actually take part. Hopefully, you'll join us. We'll let you know about that. But in the meantime, yeah, like us on Facebook. Thank you so much for being
Get the
here.
highlight on my
Thank
cheek.
you.
Have a happy 4th of July.
Look at that.
Happy
Be safe.
4th. Eat a
and
hot dog. I love hot dogs.
Enjoy. Love you.
Eat
Bye.
a hot dog.
Cheers. Cheers. Eat a hot dog.
Uh,
Classic.